It is the most rational explanation there is. The second explanation for the existence of all things, when we go back to the theory of the Big Bang that is put forth and held to by modern science for the most part, is that there was something in the beginning smaller than an electron that exploded and has been ever increasing, ever expanding up even till today. And that's where everything came from. And then in addition to that, we have evolution. And so all the creatures and everything began to miraculously, that's the only way to put it, not only to develop it, but we don't have a world full of deformed creatures that you would expect, with an eye on top of their head and one eye in their ear and body parts all over the place. If it were random chance, if it were just haphazardly all thrown together and things developed, we don't find that. But we find very well put together creatures, amazing creatures in insects and the animal world and creatures of the sea and creatures of the sky, and man, the crowning creature, just incredible design is evident in everything that does not match or fit the evolution theory in any way. It's just absurd. But let's give it that this is the other option, the evolution that follows this Big Bang. But as we mentioned earlier, the Big Bang does not explain the origins of all things, because we have to go back to the little electron-sized thing, whatever it was, and ask the question, where did it come from? Where did that little electron-sized thing originate from? Because we've just really pushed it back a step further. Where did it come from? And that's what the scientists are working on and feel that they're close to solving. They're close to providing an answer to that question. But really, there's only one answer, and they don't want to admit this. But the answer can only be that the electron thing, if they're correct, is eternal. That it has always existed, or it came from something else that has always existed, or if you want to keep pushing it back and pushing it back, there must be something, some form of matter, of substance, something that has always been, that has always existed, and then it was finally acted upon, or it exploded or ballooned, whatever came later. All right, but they must have something that's eternal. And so the options for the origin of all things are A, eternal God, a thinking, living, all-powerful being who can speak and bring worlds into creation, and who is brilliant and infinite in the power that he possesses, so that he can design creatures and worlds and universe, as we see with the sun, moon, and stars. And that's the first option. The second is a mindless, a lifeless thing that is eternal, and it has always been. And for some reason, from as far back as you want to go into eternity past, and just like we think of eternal God, who has no beginning, this mindless, lifeless thing, the size of an electron or smaller, has always existed for eons and eons and eons into eternity past, and then suddenly at some point it exploded. Why? Of course, there would be no explanation for that, and the Big Bang began. And you see why they don't want to admit that they're stuck with eternal matter if they reject eternal God. Because necessarily the origins of all things require an eternal being or an eternal matter. And you can't get around that. It's why the most brilliant scientists have certainly put hours and hours of thought theorizing about this and back and forth, and they've tried every way imaginable to come up with a theory, to come up with an explanation. But there is none, because again, it's one of those two options. And they'd rather not say that matter is eternal, because, again, what is more rational? What is more believable and understandable? An eternal God, a brilliant mind, and a brilliant being possessing all power and might to create, or some lifeless, mindless thing that for some reason, that which nobody would be able to provide an answer, has always existed, and then for some other reason which nobody could provide any answer, after existing for eons and eons and eons and eons, it exploded, and suddenly we have all this brilliant world and life forming from it. Well, of course, it is about as ridiculous as anything could be. And so not only is the Bible true, and yet the Bible in verse 1, chapter 1, in a simple statement, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. God provides a solution to the mystery that has baffled philosophers and scientists and the most brilliant minds of the people of the world for thousands of years. And he sums it up very quickly and easily. And in this statement, here is what God has done, as he tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 1. He says in verse 19, "For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe." God has made foolish the wisdom of this world, and that's all we can say. We don't want to revile anyone or put down anyone. It's just a fact. The idea that there is some other origin, some thing that is unexplainable and was just there, acted upon to explode, it is foolish. The idea that all this wonderful, beautiful life, all this complex design we see everywhere around us, the idea that that evolved is foolish.